Life's a game. The world's a stage, and we are merely role-players, where theatrical people play role-playing games. I'm Matt Boothman, and I'm your compere and keeper for this studio production. Here on Merely Role-Players, we improvise stories, and we use the rules of role-playing games, so even we don't know which way things will go, because we just love the drama. This episode is Act 1 of It Feeds on Fire, one of our studio productions. The studio is where we experiment with different formats, different role-playing games, and different genres of story. In this production, we're playing the Silt vs. role-playing game, published by The Gauntlet, and based on the Silt vs. audio drama by John Ware and Muna Hussein. You don't need to be caught up on anything else we've produced to jump into It Feeds on Fire. In fact, all our productions here on Merely Roleplayers tell a complete story, so if you enjoy this one and you want to try something else we've done, just find any episode with Act 1 in the title and you'll be able to jump in there. But if you haven't already, you should definitely catch up on the Silt verses. They've got 4 whole seasons of hungry gods, hideous transformations, heartbreaking betrayals, and just enough of a smattering of hope in the darkness, all over at thesiltverses.com. Starting now, we'll release a new act of It Feeds on Fire every other week. And to keep you going through the weeks in between, we'll release Backstage episodes that give you a peek behind the scenes. So stay tuned for the first one of those next week. In the meantime, please take your seats in the studio. Tonight's production is about to begin. It Feeds on Fire, a Merely Roleplayers studio production. Act 1 of 3. Let's meet the players for this studio production, starting with a voice who has not appeared on Merely Roleplayers before.
Hello, everyone. I'm Narr, they, them, and you might have heard me in a podcast or two. Maybe one related to this game, who knows? And I'm playing a Pox-Martyr named Jasper Finch.
A slightly more familiar voice to our audience.
Only like 1 degree more. Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns. And yes, today, friends, I'm going to be playing Billie Fletcher, who is a Waxen Scrivener. And that's all we know for now.
You have heard Fiona on some of our productions before, and you might also have heard her on her own podcast on the One Shot Network.
What Am I Rolling, which is a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast.
And finally, last but not least, the most familiar voice to regular Merely Roleplayers listeners. Marta, introduce yourself and your character, please.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be heard by you again. It's like, nice to see you. Wait, that's not actually a thing. It's fine. I'm Marta de Silva. You may have, in fact, heard me before in some Merely Roleplayer productions, Vigil, Her Many Masks, The First Nova. You might have also heard me in a few podcasts here and there, perhaps even in one with B that is somehow related to this game. Winker wink. If you are joining us from the Silt versus fandom, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful time today. We're going to have a bit of fun with a beautiful universe that John and Muna created for us, and that was then adapted into a fantastic TTRPG. Today, I am playing Nim Harrow, who is a follower of the Watcher in the Wings. They, them, more soon.
What a brilliant cast. And yes, as Marta alluded to and as B alluded to, we are playing the Silt Versus RPG based on the audio drama The Silt Versus, which both Marta and B are in the cast of. So you may have heard their voices in that. They are not playing the characters here that they played in the show. They are getting to play in different corners of the Silt Versus universe and world. And then Fiona, you aren't in the Silt Versus, but I feel like
I would like to be. Yes, it feels like I'm out by one here, but yes.
Sadly, a little late. But I feel like you have an affinity with this setting in some ways.
Yes.
It has so many elements that have things in common with things that you have done and enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm a massive horror person. I love horror TTRPGs. I'm always a big fan of because I know there's some people like, oh, I'm not so sure about horror, and I'm like, horror is like a little blanket, little veil that you put over things, and so you can dip in and out. And yeah, this particular game and the sort of setting that we've got, the sort of folklore horror of it, absolutely love. I also love Jason Cordova games, Brindlewood Bay, The Between. I think he's great, and I've been able to work with him on a couple of other projects and stuff. So of course I'm just there like going, yeah, I get to play in a game. Fantastic. So yeah, excited. And I have listened up to 7 episodes of the Silt Versus, so I think I have an idea of what's in store, but who knows? I'm excited.
We've got our 2 cast members who are very immersed in the world and can be our authority on would this happen in the Silt Versus universe? And then we have Fiona, our authority on Carved by Brindlewood games, who can tell me if I'm running the game right. And then there's just me. I'm just here to have a nice time.
Yay!
Yay!
Exactly.
I mean, I like these games and I love the podcast, but I'm not nearly as immersed as everybody else. But I'm here to facilitate all of you having a nice time and telling a probably not a very nice story. Speaking of which, are we ready? Are we excited? What are we anticipating happening in this game?
Terrible, terrible things.
Awful things.
Awful.
War crimes.
Terrible.
What are you guys talking about? I think we're going to have a lovely trip to this place and nothing will go wrong with the way we've set up the characters and this weird sort of dynamics we're going to see, and then a possible mystery to solve. It's perfect. I can't wait.
Entertainment. That's the main thing. A good performance is what we need.
Exactly.
Well, since we're all basically in character already, let's take the stage and raise the curtain on this studio production. It's come to the attention of the Bureau for the Investigation and Assimilation of Stray Deities that the staff of the Outer Ornglen SSPC are feeling threatened by protesters. There were protests in Ornglen back when the SSPC was first announced, even more while the place was being built on the outskirts in Outer Ornglen. But they seem to have now stepped up to new levels now that the facility is up and running and open. The SSPC's unit of security Templars say that they suspect the protesters might have become desperate enough to turn to illegal worship, or perhaps that their innocent protest movement has been co-opted by a rogue divinity and its followers. Reports have emerged from the SSPC of protesters with rocky skin that deflect non-lethal rounds, other protesters smashing apart riot shields and armoured vehicles with fists and feet as heavy and hard as boulders. All of this has come to the attention of the Bureau, and they have dispatched to Ornglen 3 custodians. Marta, I have a couple of questions for you to start. First of all, can you introduce your character to us? And second of all, what makes you suspect that the staff of the SSPC aren't telling the whole truth here?
Nim Harrow, under certain circumstances, might be mistaken for some sort of large bird. They wear a fairly well-used, well-loved, large windbreaker with a slight curvature to it that lends them an owl-like profile at a distance. All you can see from under this windbreaker are a pair of fairly worn and ripped black jeans, a pair of very well-used and not very well cared for Doc Martens, and the most immediately obvious and startling element of their appearance is a ceramic Inari mask Now, Inari is a kind of god from Japanese Shinto, which is basically a fox, known for being a bit of a trickster, a bit of untrustworthy, two-faced, a little puckish. They like to mess around with human beings. They might be inclined to help out just as much as they might be inclined to make your life hellish. Frankly, they can get quite intense. And so Nim wears this beautiful white ceramic mask in the intimation of a fox face with a slit of a mouth in a smile and two thin straight slits for eyes. Their hair is worn on a sort of high ponytail where half their head is shaved, a very short cut, and the rest is, yes, in this sort of long high ponytail, resembling, and I hate to admit it, but there it is, a man bun. So it has that little round bit at the top and the rest flows behind them. Quite tall, quite slim, it seems, from under this coat they wear. And also notable, the way they wear their hair up is with a nice, very sharp looking hairpin. It looks like a letter opener with like a really fancy shape at the end that you can't quite make out unless you look at it really close up. And that's sort of skewering her bun and keeping it in place. So, about what makes them suspect the staff of the SSPC might not be entirely trustworthy or forthcoming with the truth. Number one, there is always an element of lies and performance with any government-backed institution, and Nim is particularly well acquainted with this fact due to their own background. And number two, as members of the Bureau, we're all aware that there is a certain protocol to deal with rogue gods, and Bureau agents are usually only called in as a measure of very last resort. It doesn't seem to have been any kind of action taken by the SSCP that would have followed the expected protocol. So something is very sus, and we're all squinting.
Something is sus. The Bureau is deploying its resources of last resort, and that resource of last resort is this owlish, fox-masked custodian who is arriving in town. Your answer here ties into our first question for this assignment. Who is in the most danger from the rogue god? This is a complexity 2 question, which means that if you try and answer it without finding any clues first, you'll be rolling at a -2. Fiona.
Billie Fletcher is a sort of a middle-aged woman. The thing you notice about her first is that she has amazing floral patterned tops, like a blouse, long sleeves. And I think just in every scene, it's a different shirt. Notably, I think all these patterned shirts have some sort of beetle motif in some way, whether it's very obvious and maybe the whole pattern is like, is it a flower? Is it a beetle? Is it that sort of ink splatter test, or it could be very subtle. She also has her hair up in a bun, but it feels like it is defying gravity rather than anything necessarily put in to our friend Nim here. And she has these sort of glasses that have like trinkets, the chain that keeps them attached so they don't go flying if she's in a rush. But she is never in a rush. She takes her time with these things.
And my question for you is, how are the custodians arriving at Ornglen?
The simple answer is that we're in my car, specifically a Volkswagen microbus, which also doubles as a book lending bus. There is a seat at the front with the driver, and then whoever has the short straw is in the back, maybe holding on to the shelves so they don't, if there's a sudden corner, that you don't get suddenly hit by an avalanche of non-fiction.
If it's Billie's vehicle, does that mean Billie's driving?
Of course Billie is driving. I would say she's a little bit shorter than most, so the chair is up close to the seat itself, and there's maybe more books in the front than necessarily needs to be. That there'll be maps and all that sort of thing. Specifically, this is an older, I say Volkswagen microbus, that's workers, but it is like that old sort of 60s version. Everything is a little bit rusty in places. Like the radio has not worked for a while, but if you bang it hard enough, sometimes you get classic FM. Sometimes. There's nothing electronic about this particular thing. So everything is done by hand. If you're getting out a book, there'll be like a slip. It's all cash. And it just feels like it's come out of an era which people are like, God, do you remember when? Is that remember when era when you see this macro? It's like a light blue with a bit faded in places, and there's definitely a bit of rust underneath, and you can hear it coming from a long way away.
Especially because the roads into Ornglen are dog shit.
Yeah.
This is a kind of like swampy sort of fenland sort of climate here, kind of landscape. Ornglen used to be a commuter town, but it's sort of been left. Basically, the roads have been allowed to decay. And so some of them, sinkholes and potholes have opened up. Like sections of the road have sunk into the fens. And so there are parts of this journey where you're juddering over hard-packed potholes, and there are parts where you're having to like make judgments as to whether the book bus can make it through like a muddy ford. Like the approach is not great, which probably means that for whoever's in the back, this is an even less pleasant journey than it might be.
There's definitely, when we say 3-point turns, there's definitely an infinite number of point turns as we're desperately trying to get around a particular sharp corner, and it's just back and forth, whoever's in the back jangled around.
Adding more points to a point turn can be an article of faith. It can be a ritual. I'm sure there is a god that accepts that as a sacrifice.
Yeah, we don't know them, but they're getting a lot of worth out of our trip.
B, our final character, can you describe your character? Tell us where in the book bus you're travelling. And also, the assignment is at the SSPC in Outer Ornglen. But to get there, you've got to go through Ornglen town. So you could, if you wanted to, stop off in town and make some investigations there. That wouldn't precisely be protocol, but you are afforded a level of autonomy in these assignments. So tell us about your character, and also what is your thinking in terms of where to go first?
Where would Nim go? Because I feel like Jasper probably would not be assertive enough to buck them.
Because of Nim's size, rather length, they're probably stuck at the back, really. Just like, their legs are folded onto them just because they won't fit inside this vehicle. And so they're kind of like perched, like basically like the owl they look like. And they just have the big, usually shapeless sleeves stuck on the sides. And you can't tell how they feel about this, though.
Yes, I was going to say the mask, right? So
yeah. Poker face.
Every time we check back, you're like, "You're all right." There's just a slight turn of the mask. And yeah, they're okay.
Slight tilt of the head.
It's like, what do you think? He's like, yeah.
So up at the front is a considerably smaller person. Jasper is in these multiple layers of shawls and patchwork clothing that he has done himself. It's actually very good patchwork, but it is visible mending on this prayer shawl and this little forager's pouch he has and this little like tied up bindle. The dude's looking like a Zelda vendor. He's got little circular spectacles that have been taped on one end. Everything about him has been repaired over and over again. He kind of looks scrunkily, I think is the best way to put it. He's very content where he is up there, even though he does keep kind of looking back, like, are you all right? Like that kind of look like, huh? Not really asking you, because after the first time, we all know. After the first time we went over a pothole and you ping-ponged, like, we all know what's going on.
Yeah.
My instinct is to, like, check the vibe of what the town thinks of the SSCP, because if we've already determined that they're not trustworthy, that might be good, or do we need to get like a feel for them first and see like what do they got going on there?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because I mean, the protesters, I would presume, are the inhabitants of the town, correct?
You'd have to assume that, right?
Or at least partly them. I mean, if there's a rogue god, it's a slightly risky move, but it could be a very good move to come in to the SSCP with SSPC with some knowledge about the situation and the vibe. It might give us some leverage, to get the truth out of them.
I would say that if we did want to be in town, we do have a bit of a cover in that there is a book barn-esque type thing that's appearing, so people can come in, and it's that checking that vibe.
When asked whichever question you wish to say or whichever way you wish to go, Nim would simply nod their head and leave it at that.
Jasper looks over at Billy like, how many books you think you're going to sell here?
Ooh, great question. Well, the book does choose the person. I always think books are, yes, it's whoever comes by. It's almost like a preternatural service that we do here. Yes, yes. For example, I know you are a bit fond of, I stare at you for a long time ago.
While crawling through a muddy patch.
Yeah, and I go, romantasy. Ooh, saucy. I'm sure I have one or two in the back. So either is good for me, but I agree there's something not quite right. Be nice to see if we could integrate ourselves, perhaps, and see what's from there, because I don't really know much of them. And one does not judge a book by the cover. There's only if you read about 2 chapters in, and then you decide whether you want to continue.
The consensus seems to be towards stopping off and investigating town before heading to the centre.
Yeah, it feels like from the three of us, there's no real push to go meet those who have got the complaints, because we're all a bit, maybe understandably as players, a bit sus of it. But yes, I think community first is my vote.
The journey in is not a pleasant drive, where the roads are not in disrepair. They are windy, lots of corners and camber that does not help keep all of the books in place in the back. But you do eventually pass a sign that says you are now entering Ornglen. This was once a commuter town, so there's a city nearby. It's probably where you came from. This is more of a small town. People would live here. They would commute to the city to work until a bypass siphoned off all of the passing traffic through Ornglen. The swamp has swallowed the main road. The train station closed soon after that. Everything worth doing is in the city, but it's now really hard to get out of town. Let's paint the scene. Which parts of Ornglen still feel alive and which seem more fossilized?
I had this image immediately when we walked in, drove in, parked and then walked, whichever way we're choosing to go. Something that happens a lot in cities or towns where this situation occurs, which is that the younger population tend to sort of disappear. It's the first thing that tends to go. And that image of like a playground that's just completely empty and abandoned, and you've got that really sad swing just swinging in the wind with some leaves on the ground and dead trees all over, and you can almost hear the echo of children laughing and playing, but that's just a long gone memory. That's kind of one of the central, what would have been social community spaces in town that you just have to walk through to get anywhere.
This is the countryside. They built the town around a park, and now you have to go through the park to get anywhere, and it's dead.
Maybe we pass like a greengrocer's on the way in. The interesting thing to note is that as well as having the metric sign for grams and kilos in terms of weighing stuff out, they still have the imperial measurements as well, so ounces and pounds. I think that sort of holdover from, I appreciate a very British history sort of thing, is that those signs are everywhere of where things come in certain things, and then there's an equivalent. We're not talking about shillings or anything like that. There's still, we're still obviously got current money, but there's definitely those old holdovers as definitely the imperial system is still in use here.
How are the prices looking, Fiona? Has inflation arrived?
I think you're like, bloody hell. We're all there going you know what? We should go to the craft ales are really cheap. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's weirdly affordable here. I think we also pass a very, very small visitors center, since this used to be a thoroughfare to and from around the city, but it is long since been boarded up. It's derelict. Somebody might have done some graffiti on it. Whether or not it's good graffiti,
matter of opinion.
It's a matter of opinion. That's where artistic taste and license comes in. But this place has not been set foot in ages.
And the high street is atrophied. There's empty shop fronts where you can see the faded boards to the grinding lord, and there's even a newish looking violet cloud shop front So one of the newer gods of vaping. And not even the vape shop managed to get open in
Thank
this
God.
place.
Good. Oh, gross.
What there is, all of the shops are shutting, but you're seeing evidence of repair culture. Cafes like bandstands and things like that being repurposed as places that people can go and take their stuff because they can't buy new to try and help get stuff repaired.
Oh, nice.
And you see there are people here, a lot of them moving quite slowly. You're seeing all of these signs of the place fossilizing, but then these signs of people trying to bring parts of it back to life. The road layout is weird in this town. The high street looks like it should just go all the way through straight to sort of the other side of town where you need to get to, but there's a row of bollards down the middle that just seems illogical. So having to like turn around and take side streets and go down one ways and all sorts of these annoying layout problems. But you're seeing people around. There's things like a market. There's these repair shops. There are inns and motels and pubs and things like that. Places where people gather.
What day is it? And have we passed in our little drive any place, any building or any area where there seemed to be a higher density of people gathering together?
Yeah. It's a work day. Yeah, you don't pass it, but the other side of that illogical row of bollards bisecting the high street, you can't quite see what it is from where you're driving past, but there is a business a little bit further down the high street that has a couple of cars parked outside, some bikes chained up nearby, and there's a spill of people onto the pavement, and you can hear kind of hubbub and liveliness in there.
I will park up the bookmobile, presumably over 2 car parking spaces. Okay, everyone out. Go, go, go. If everyone
Slowly
gets out,
extricate ourselves from this vehicle.
this is
however
just
we
a
can.
Nim hole of these books. And so I look at it and I was like, this is a problem for later, Billy. And I shut the door and lock it.
You hear books fall.
Definitely the sound of a bookshelf absolutely falling at this point.
God.
The commotion of you arriving and parking up and all getting out, like it draws some eyes of some of the people on the high street. Mostly what people do is sort of they look up at the sound and they clock you, and there's a kind of a curious look on their face, and you see a lot of them like start to say something or maybe even start towards you and then think better of it and head off in a different direction.
Oh no!
I think because of Nim's height, once they sort of unbend themselves back into standing position and sort of ruffle their windbreaker back into its actual shape, to whoever is looking their way, they'll just lift their hand and do a little friendly wave, be the only thing on the body that moves.
Can you please make the information move
Amazing.
with presence?
Oh yeah, it is searching for clues.
This is very similar to lots of games we've played on Merely Role Players before. We are rolling 2 6-sided dice, adding up what they show and adding a stat. If we get 6 or below, we fail. 7 or above is a hit, and different numbers above that might give you different levels of hit.
To clarify as well, while they're doing this like awkward little janky wave, they're also doing, the owl sort of head move of scanning around and looking and seeing like what's going on. Quite
Full
disconcerting.
180, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on? So we've got a 6 and a 3, which makes it a 9.
Yeah.
And plus
So
your
you don't
presence, which I
Which is
think
a
you
1.
did up.
Therefore, we get a lovely 10.
A lovely 10.
Yeah!
On a hit, on the information move, you find a clue. And there isn't even a complication because your presence has knocked it up to a 10.
Incredible.
There's sort of 4 or 5 people within sight of this move. Most of them turn away and pretend that they didn't see this slightly strange sight rock up in town. But one person, a sort of a younger woman, wearing an overly big, what looks like a hand-me-down knitted jumper with thumb holes in the sleeves, big bottle-bottom glasses, and a long fringe hiding part of her eyes. She looks like she's more used to having her eyes on her feet most of the time, but she looks up at this strange sight and takes your invitation to approach.
Well, Nim just looks down to her companions, looks down at Jasper, looks down at Billy, and sort of like puts her hands up, being like, ta-da, go. Entertain me, do a show, let's go.
Oh, hello, dearie.
Hello.
Do you like reading?
Yes. Is
Excellent.
this a library or a show?
That's you're asking all the right questions. Here, have a bookmark. You always need a bookmark, I find, and I'll
Thank
pull out
you.
a random ass piece of paper from my pocket. That is actually probably a page of a book that has a little bit of like scribbles on it. And I'm like, always when you need one is a bookmark. We're quite new in town. We're just wondering if there's places to maybe have some lunch and some snack. We're sussing out the area, you see, for well, as you said, we're kind of part performance, part shop. So we're just wondering to see what the locals are like.
You're foodies and you've come to Ornglen? The
Oh.
food scene is not good. I mean, I can point you to a greasy spoon where you can get a greasy breakfast or a toasty or something. It's not going to be great.
You know what? I think we can all be with a good all-day breakfast. Isn't that right, my lovelies?
What's going on here? Seems to be a very popular spot in your very small town, and I'd love to know what's going on.
Oh, over the road. That's Tansy's garage.
Tansy's garage.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So my dad says that before they opened the new bypass and when people were coming through more, I mean, look up and down the high street, you can see most of these shop fronts used to be like garages, tire places, like there were some dealerships, like cars and mechanics and stuff like that. That was what most of the like my mum and dad did and everybody else in town. Most of them have shut down now, but Tansy's got the contract for the Templars vehicles. So she's still open, she's still got business, and like that's where most of the people who work in town are every day. So it's kind of the like, I guess, de facto community hub of Ornglen.
Well, that is rather remarkable. We're due for an MOT. Hit the back of the Volkswagen, and more books fall off from the inside. So a good recommendation there. Maybe we could pop in a little later. We had heard on our way up, the radio was saying some news reports about some, I believe, protests. It's nothing we should be worried about, is it?
Oh yeah, actually, she puts the piece of paper that you gave her, Billy, in a little knapsack and digs out from that a fistful of protest flyers, which she hands over. These are your clue. A protest slogan: Banish hesitation. You see the words Banish hesitation emblazoned. They are the most prominent thing on all of these protest flyers. A couple of them are for different marches and different actions and different protests and things like that. She's just giving you whatever she's got in the bag. So you see different dates and different gathering points and that sort of thing on different ones. But this slogan, Banish hesitation, is common to all of them.
What are we protesting?
The SSPC and their unfair treatment of the people here in the town.
Oh, what have they done?
Well, they're should we be I don't know if we should just talk about this in the street. Do you want to like go somewhere?
Yeah, why don't you take us? You know what?
I've got like 20 minutes, half an hour before my next class.
Sure. Well, why don't we walk you there, if that's okay? And maybe I could peel off and go get an appointment at Tansy's garage for the old vehicle. And my friends here can make sure you get there. And just, we just want to know what the sort of scenes are so that we can inform our higher-ups with the new show coming in.
Great. Okay. I'm going this way.
Now, you two play nice. I don't want to come back and find out all Havocs go out, and I'll have to clear up, because let me tell you, late finds are pretty hard to come by, okay? And then I'll give you more bookmarks, but they are just random pieces of paper with diagrams, just, and if need be, just meet me back here. I'll be back at the van, because my phone, it doesn't work. And then I'll tootle off towards the garage.
Whilst the conversation was going on, if you were to pay close attention to the mask Nim was wearing, the fox face might have been shifting expression slightly, showing perhaps a questioning face or a confused face, and sort of in that way trying to urge whoever was speaking on and to reveal a little more information. Nim tucks these lovely bookmarks somewhere into their massive coat where they disappear from view. And they sort of look to Jasper, they look to this lovely young woman, whose name, by the way, I should note, we do not know. So I
No.
think they will very kindly sort of bend and ask, "You are very kind. What shall we call you?"
Oh, you do speak. I'm Boel. Boel Spate. My dad was Jim Spate.
"It is a pleasure to meet you, Boel." Nim will place a hand on their shoulder. "Thank you for your hospitality." And when they lift their hand, you will see the vanishing marks of some symbols that seem to be burnt onto Boel's clothing and vanish.
What are you doing to this
I
poor
said,
kid?
play nice. And instantly, as
Wait,
I moved.
you haven't asked what this is about. No.
Yeah, what are you doing?
So this is basically a talisman of calm and trusting to try to put them at ease and open themselves to us.
This is the revelation move.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you scared will happen if this goes wrong or you lose your nerve?
Nim is such an interesting character. It's like, what are they afraid of? Basically, of just getting nothing, or of it being boring, like a boring nothing. You know, the sort of thing an editor would be like, we don't need any of this. This is not good.
Wow.
It's worse than that. You will mark this person as of interest to the Watcher in the Wings, and she may find herself hallowed.
Whoa,
God.
Shit. I don't even get to roll for that. She's just like,
Well, no,
just
now that you know what could go wrong, you have an opportunity. You can choose now either to back down or to go through with it, knowing the consequences.
Well,
do you want to take a bit of time to think about that, and we'll follow Billie to the garage in the meantime?
Let's do
a dramatic cliffhanger.
Yeah, what a cut.
Billie, you head over the road to Tansy's garage. This is the biggest, busiest of all of the garages and the petrol stations that used to cater to passing commuters here in Ornglen. It is now functions as like a workplace, a community hub. It is also, as many garages are, a consecrated altar of the Petropater. And I will say, you see as you approach, there are what look like kind of local Ornglen people. There are some apprentice mechanics and some more seasoned ones. The space goes through the whole street, so you can actually see through the garage all the way to the street on the other side. It's kind of a low space, smells of petrol, busy, bustling, lots of lively conversation, clanging of metal as people are fixing cars and things like that. And you can see, as well as the locals, off in the far corner, there is an armoured personnel carrier with some uniformed Templars around it.
Oof.
The mechanic working on their vehicle seems to be bantering back and forth with them just as much as everybody else is. It's not like they're not welcome. But under the lively atmosphere here, what topics are people carefully not talking about?
As we sort of come up, and we see that it's a very clear image of this garage with various cars and shouts and stuff like that. I think onto one side we have like a notice board or a community board where the mechanics would put stuff in. And I think we see newspaper clippings of things that have been of note to the town. Maybe we see search parties still out for missing whatever, or it's stuff like that. So things that have gone wrong in the town, specifically maybe missing people, but it's hidden by a rather tasteful calendar, mechanic babe of the month. It's just put in a certain place, but like just the corner of the newspaper, we can just see search party still continues for, and then it just cuts off because we have Miss August, even though it's not been Miss August for many months,
Miss Petropater.
Miss Petropater, absolutely. She has dueling petrol guns, which are just not safe.
God, that's awesome, actually.
Just like
very American of me to be like, that's sick.
Heck yeah.
Petrol heads unite.
There is that same kind of veneer over some of the conversations because it's faith and divinity are very commonplace, obviously, to talk about. But it's all weirdly non-specific. Usually people aren't afraid to get specific about it. People will mention God's names pretty, like, chill. And yeah, the Petropater gets mentioned, the Saint Electric, very baseline ones, but there's, like, clearly something they're not saying. There's clearly other things going on that they're, like, kinda cutting themselves off and switching topics if things get a little dicey feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I feel since the Templars are there, right? It's
Mhm.
almost like they've developed this language only they can speak. And it sounds like English and we understand it.
Oh, amazing.
But in the negative spaces, they are communicating so that these people who could potentially murder them all and do terrible things to them, these people who they are in a very complex antagonistic relationship with, but on whom they also depend on for their livelihoods. And it's almost like, you know, how slaves used to figure out ways of communicating and learning and still having culture, etc., without their enslavers figuring that out, making them feel really smart and in control when actually they were doing all this stuff right under their noses. I think there's an inkling of that going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely feels a bit like
Damn.
sort of Cockney rhyming slang, but less comedic, as it were, just like
Yeah.
a few little
Yeah.
phrases here
Yeah.
and there.
And like the big obvious avoided topic is it's like these are the people and some representatives of the thing that the people here are protesting against, and nobody is talking about the protests. This is something that everyone is just like, no shop talk, like don't bring this into my garage. There is a definite feeling of that.
Yeah, there's a time for shop talk. This is the shop. Shop talk happens outside the shop. It's
Yes.
it's
It's
very
like
confusing to those people not in it. Yeah.
We are neutral, no politics.
Uh-huh.
None of leave that all that at the door.
Yeah.
You know,
Make
how
sure
it
your
is.
car is in neutral, but be neutral. Yeah, it's just like, okay.
all of that.
And Billy, as you walk in here and you're clocking all of these details, you actually spot that Miss August, Miss Petropater, is
Yes.
here. She's the one working on the Templars,
No.
working on the
that's
Templars vehicle.
awesome. What?
She's got bushy hair tied back out of her face. She's wearing grease-stained overalls, unzipped to the waist and tied around, bantering fairly easily with these. Like, imagine riot cop armor, but make it medieval knights.
I clock the calendar and I clock the person. I was like, oh, I'm not sure where to look. So there's definitely a bit of a blush a little bit, but I'm like, you know what? Hey, side hustle. I get it. I'll make my way over to this person, presuming that this is the owner of the establishment, Ms. Tansy. I'll just wait and try and catch her eye and do basically what Nim did and do a little wave to be like, when you've got a moment.
She slides out from under the APC on one of those mechanics trolleys and catches you waving out of the corner of her eye and goes, "Hi, I'm working on this right this second, but if you've got a job that needs booking in, I can take a moment."
Oh, if that's great, lovely. I'd love to. Just yeah, it'd be great. Yes. Should I just stay here?
Just 1 second. And she slides fully out, gets up, dusts herself off a little bit, runs her hands through her hair to like get some bangs out of her face. And it looks like she's not really realizing that her hands are filthy and she's making her hair filthy as well as she does it. Walks up and sticks out a hand for you to shake. Tansy Gangrel, I own the place.
Oh, I get out a little handkerchief and I cover my hand in it as I shake it. Billy Fletcher, I've just come
Fancy
in.
type.
Oh well, you know, I'm in the book business, so we don't, got to keep the pages clean, as it were.
Right. We're reasonably booked up. Business is pretty good, but have you got a vehicle problem?
Yes, unfortunately, I didn't check the maps or anything like that, but my little bookmobile, it's a Volkswagen. It took a bit of a beating on the way in. We managed to get here okay, but might need to stay overnight and stuff. So I was just wondering if you, when you're free, because it seems like you're quite busy, and I point to the APCs and the Templars. It's quite busy in here, especially with all the protests that have been happening. I just say that on the out.
The place doesn't quite go quiet, but like
It's
the
like a
people
needle
nearest,
drop.
the people nearest you who can hear that, you definitely notice some eyes sliding your way. Please make the information move. I think this is probably with presence again.
Ah, yes. In total, that is a 4.
Okay.
Oh my gosh!
As you mention the protests and you see all of those eyes slide in your direction, silence does spread out and does fall, and you hear a wrench fall onto the concrete. And Tansy withdraws the handshake and says, actually, I don't think we've got any, I don't think we can fit you in today. Probably not all week, actually. I think you'd probably be better off finding a garage in a different town. You're going to take the condition not welcome.
That's a good condition. I think I'll take that condition, actually, because I was looking at the verses, I could bump up the things, but I actually quite like that condition.
Oh my god, I love it. That's a bold move.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. And then just seeing the side of that. Well, and I will try to give her a bookmark. Should you need me? I didn't wish to offend. Seeing that it's not taken, I go, okay. And then I will just back out slowly, but noting if anyone follows me or keeps an eye on me, essentially.
Let's come back to Nim, Jasper, and Boel. Marta, did you decide whether you want to press forward with this move?
Nim will press forward.
I would like you to roll with communion in that case.
Which is not good. Oh, no.
If you think there's something from your altar that would help you, you may roll with advantage by marking that item.
Actually, you know what? As Nim retreats their hand from Boel's shoulder after placing the talisman on her, they're going to do this really tacky, the tacky magic trick where you just pull a flower
Yeah.
Oh my god.
from behind their ear. They are going to pull. It's a really interesting looking like red flower where the petals are all like separated and then they end in these long little bits that jut out. It's beautiful but freaky looking. And so Nim will kind of like do that trick of the eye where they've placed a talisman and then boop, here comes a flower as thank you.
Still rolling with communion, but roll 3 6-sided dice and take the 2 highest.
Yeah, because you're using your bouquet of flowers. Love that. That's so cool.
God. So close. It's a 5 and a 4.
9. Mixed success. It's good.
So that's 9 minus 1 for communion is an 8. So that is a mixed success. You do it or hold steady, but there is a complication. You were trying to calm her, like make her receptive, essentially, and
sort of like
happy to talk.
Malleable, open her up to us, and that usually comes from feeling safe and calm and trusting.
Take a word from that set of things that you were trying to apply to her and give yourself a condition that is also that word. As this use of divine magic that you are applying to this person rebounds on you and affects you as well.
Maybe malleable?
Yeah, because if I go for calm, Nim is just going to be like, out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go malleable.
Malleables, that's vicious.
What happens physically to Boel that tells you that this has worked?
There's a very obvious draining of bodily tension, and you can see it especially in her shoulders and in her, usually, you described her as someone who clearly is always looking down and is kind of hunched and making themselves quite small. And suddenly they seem to sort of fall into this, neutral, zen, well-positioned body position. That's kind of repetitive, but you know what I mean. They go from being kind of like mousy to being sort of in their space. There's nothing prideful or boastful. It's just like they seem very zen.
And also, before you put your hand down on her shoulder, she was getting ready to like lead you off. She was like, "You're on my schedule. We need to get this place. I need to be here by this time." And you see her whole body language shift to like, "Well, I'm just following you now. Where are we going? What do you want to talk about?"
I feel like Nim gestures with their hands a lot, like in a very like almost presenter mime sort of way is what I'm imagining. Like, and just like after you. So Jasper is going to very gently usher her towards wherever she was going. Like, clearly, like, I can see something happened. This person has stopped. We're going to kind of like try to usher back towards where we were going. What were you saying about the SSPC? What did they do?
Well, they took my dad, and now they've taken one of my partners as well. And like, since they opened, they've been, it's because it's right there, right? It's convenient. So obviously they're selecting sacrifices from here because we just happen to be here. right? It's supposed to be like egalitarian and like the big faiths, they select their sacrifices from like people who've got indentures or on the lotteries and that sort of thing. But since the place opened on our doorstep, they're disproportionately selecting sacrifices from the population of Ornglen, and we're not having it anymore. It's everybody here knows somebody. There are still some people who are too scared of what the Templars might do, but there's nobody here in town who hasn't had a family member, a loved one, somebody taken, a colleague taken up to the SSPC.
I'm so sorry. They're not even doing a lottery. They're not taking people who have done something.
They're making up stories about when people have done something. There's always an official line about why this or that or the other person was chosen. But we can see when you're living here and you're seeing, I have 10 people in my class and like 4 of them were taken in the last 6 months. That can't be random selection. That can't be statistically right. They're targeting us just because we're here, and it's easy for them to come roll in their tanks and just come pick some people up.
So at Boel's mention of they're making up stories to justify what's going on, you can definitely see the mask now very much change into a curious and focused fox face, and Nim uncharacteristically, sort of intensely and quickly, bends down towards them and asks, "Story? What stories?"
It's this person was running from an indenture. This person was living under a false identity. This person looked the wrong way at a Templar. This person was protesting the wrong way. Excuses.
Uninspired, well-trod, not quite as entertaining as one would hope. The disappointment clearly drops in them, being like, well, they're lying, they're making up all sorts of things, and they can't even be creative about it. How very dull.
I'm going to give you a clue here, because you put the work in to make this person receptive, and she knows some stuff, so you're getting a clue out of her. In fact, actually, though, this clue doesn't exactly represent the stuff she's telling you. Obviously, you can take that information and do with it what you will. As you're walking along with her and she's telling you all of this stuff, it takes you past that illogical row of bollards down the middle of the high street, blocking your way. And the clue I'm going to give you is strange, irregular, almost organic bollards blocking main roads.
Oh.
Because as you pass them, you see that these are not standard mass manufactured. They look almost like art, like sculpture.
Huh.
Not all of them look robust enough to actually stop a vehicle if it came through. And the forms of them, you can almost see some sort of organic looking shapes in some of these bollards.
Drop this kid off somewhere.
Oh, they mentioned
Class.
They're going to class.
So we should probably drop them off.
Follow to see what class this might be?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, Nim is just following. Now he's following you like a puppy.
Oh, bless.
Sort of like floating behind you, being like, where are we going? Oh, okay, I'll go behind you. That's fine.
This windbreaker, just trailing along behind.
Yeah, slightly disappointed puppy, but still.
I feel like it's my responsibility to get this person to wherever the class is. I don't know what Nim did, but I know they did something. And now I have to shepherd this person to where they need to go so they don't get hit by a car.
Wonderful instinct. So Jasper is going to shepherd Boel. Nim is trailing along with them. Billie, as you left Tansy's garage under a cloud, somebody else does disengage from the garage and follow you at a distance.
Okay.
You're getting glimpses behind parked cars and in shop windows and that sort of thing.
I will head towards the ye old bookmobile, go towards it, and then go around, open the double doors at the back, get in, but have one door slightly ajar, and then make myself to the way of the back and just have the biggest book I can find and get ready to hit whoever comes into my van if they're following in.
Billy, I would like you to make the veiled move with vitality.
Oh no! Okay.
Uh-oh.
You may, if you wish, use something from your altar to get advantage if you have something that you think would help you in this situation.
Okay. One arm, big book. The other hand, the book stamp. So I have two.
Amazing.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, these can help me, I'm sure. So yeah, I'll mark the book stamp to see.
I mean,
Okay, what are you
it's got
afraid
prayer
will
marks
happen?
on it.
What are you afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
This person's going to come in, it's going to be a big fight, and they're going to destroy a lot of books unnecessarily before their time, with just general bits and pieces before I'm able to get them out and find out what they're doing.
Roll with vitality, please. With advantage, because you're using that book stamp.
Wow. The highest number is a 3 and a 4, so that's 7 total. But there was a 1 in the mix.
On a 7 to 9, I'll tell you how this makes you vulnerable, and you can choose whether you're going to go through with it or not at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
The person following you is a Templar and actually looks like a Templar officer. You can hear the clank of their riot armor, and you can see the glimpses you're catching in windows are of a helmet with a mirrored visor and horns. Their armor looks like customized to be scary. The items that you are holding will do nothing. This person can easily take you in a fight. So you will be very physically vulnerable if you go through with this. Like, you're not going to beat them in a physical altercation. So do you want to go through with it or not?
I'm not going to go through with it. If it's like that's what I see, I'll tell you what I do. I sit down with the book stamp. So when they open the door, I'm like, oh, fancy seeing you here. Yeah, like I just be like surprised that they've come into the thing. So I look a very innocent person rather than I was about to hit them. At a moment's notice, I could change like a snake.
A social chameleon. The doors of the bookmobile are pulled open from the outside, and this figure is silhouetted between the doors as you're sitting there innocently stamping your books.
I'm like, we're not open yet, but you look like a science fiction kind of guy.
They reach up and tilt back the visor. They don't take the helmet off, but they tilt back the visor, and you see a woman's scarred face. You see that the hand that tilts the visor back has tough, calloused knuckles. Some of the other Templars back in the garage had like name badges on. You can see her rank indicated, but she is not wearing a nameplate. Just wanted to make sure you weren't threatened on your way out. Some of these local people can be a little bit testy when outsiders come here talking about the protests, and I wouldn't want any of them to think that you were an agitator and decide to do violence upon you. So I thought I'd come and make sure that you had a safe journey back to your vehicle. Are you feeling safe?
Well, safe is a very funny word, isn't it? I think it comes from the Latin of secarus, whereby the boundaries that we put in place are there to make the comfort feel level. Currently, my secarus comfort levels are slightly impinged because the only person that followed me and possibly wished to do harm was a big old Templar knight that came and has ripped open the doors before opening hours have begun. So I think it's best that you be honest with me.
I'm empowered to enter vehicles if I believe there is a threat to life and limb. This is all for your own protection.
Now, you see, I know about these health and safety things, and let me tell you, these books, they don't hurt anyone. They might fall about a little bit, and maybe I need to know, but no harm is happening here.
What's your... You're new in town. What is your business here?
Why, it's spreading the joy of the written word and making sure, we don't get lost on our little phones and those little digital devices. Ugh, horrible, really.
She glances around the bookmobile. No seditious, forbidden literature in here, nothing that could incite anything. This community is on a knife edge. It's a tinderbox.
Oh, please. The only thing these stories, the secondhand stories will do, will just incite some imagination.
If you'd like, you can make the
Yeah.
information move about this conversation if you think that
Absolutely.
there's anything you'd like to try and get out of this encounter.
Yeah, I'm being as obtuse as possible to see if she lets anything else slip before being cross with this weird bookkeeper. So I will do that.
So I think you can probably make this either with presence or focus, your choice.
I will do focus if that's okay. Because I'm intently like looking at this person.
Yeah.
Like my hand is shaking a little bit with the book stamp, but I'm trying to be like, I'm just the kooky old lady who has a book van. There's the rolls. Whoa, thank goodness. That's a 5 and a 5 plus 1, 11.
11. On a hit, you find a clue, and there are no complications about it.
Thank goodness, because I like my book van now. We've made it really important to us. So-
I've actually kind of already described the clue. The clue you're going to get here is Templar armor customized to terrify. Maybe you read up about this order before coming on this assignment. You know that the customizations she's made to her armor are not standard, and they look like they are deliberately meant to make her as imposing and terrifying to whoever she's facing up against as humanly possible. She's got horns, sigils daubed in red on her armor, spikes. Like, she looks like a Chaos Space Marine.
Oh, very theatrical.
Wow. Yeah, skull.
Very sci-fi.
There's some skulls on there.
She looks like out of a D&D, like a sci-fi D&D game.
Kinda,
where you got
yeah.
the best armor set.
Yeah, she's got a huge Zweihander in a sheath on her back.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Okay.
I don't know how I thought my book stamp would help in this situation. I sort of, talking to her, and I'll like interrupt her. Is that standard protocol? Like what you're wearing? It's very, very vibes heavy. She's like moving her hand towards the thing, like sort of like trying to get a word.
You're asking a lot of questions that might be better answered in my office at the SSPC.
Ooh, well, that's great. I'd love a good tour. I was going to set up for the day, but I can get the van in. I'm waiting for some colleagues to come back. They were getting coffees.
Our maintenance on our vehicle is done, so you'll come on my schedule, I think. Come with me. Leave your vehicle.
Oh, I will just lock up.
Let's go and sort all of your questions out.
You know what? I love knowledge. Isn't it great? I will leave as we go out. Just 1 second, and I'll lock everything up. But then I'll leave one of the bookmarks in the window screen. It looks like a ticket, but it just details to the people where I am.
All right, lovies. It's me, Matt, your compere and your keeper for this studio production. I hope you enjoyed Act 1 of It Feeds on Fire. I'm very happy to welcome you into this dark, strange world just in time for the spookiest week of the year. There will now be an interval of 2 weeks before Act 2, but next week we'd like to invite you backstage and slightly back in time and join our players as they start creating their custodians, using the character creation rules of the Silt vs. RPG. But first, since it's the interval, why don't we take a quick look at the programme? If you're listening to this the week it comes out, then this Saturday, the 1st of November, is Audio Drama Hubfest in High Wycombe in the UK. And I will be there, and Marta, who you've just been hearing as Nim Harrow, will also be there. First of all, to network and enjoy the programming and the panels, which are all to do with voice acting this year, but also to perform in the evening at around 7 o'clock in the first ever live show of I Need a Miracle, which is another podcast that I make. You can get tickets to the whole day of Audio Drama Hubfest, or cheaper tickets just for the evening that let you in from 5:30pm, purely so that you can come and see the 5 different audio drama live shows on the programme, of which we are one. I Need a Miracle, if you haven't heard me talk about it before, is a fantasy mystery where every episode is a prayer to an omnipotent, benevolent, interventionist god. Some of those prayers are answered, and a miracle, once granted, can upend the world. There are 12 episodes on that premise, and our live show pushes the format a little bit because we have two performers, both Marta de Silva, who you've been hearing in this episode, and Benjamin May, who play two different petitioners, so that we can ask the question, what happens when two incompatible miracles are both granted and collide? And we'll be tackling that question in a show that only lasts 20 minutes. Big questions in small packages. If you can get to High Wycombe on the 1st of November, I would absolutely love to see you in the audience. You can get your tickets still at audiodramahub.com. If you'd like to keep up with Merely Roleplayers and other Foggy Outline projects in ways other than letting me talk your ear off in the interval of Merely Roleplayers episodes, the best way is to subscribe to the Foggy Outline newsletter, which you can sign up to with the form at foggyoutline.com. We email you just the once a month, on the last Friday of the month, with all sorts of updates about what's been released that month and what's upcoming, and also an interview between me and one of my parents. There's one coming out this Friday, again, if you're listening to this on release week, where my mum asks me everything she ever wanted to know about crowdfunding and patronage. I learned a few things through the questions that she was asking. Hopefully the answers that I gave had some information in them as well. You might be entertained by reading that. And even if you're not, that's where you can get all of your Merely Roleplayers updates. So sign up for that at foggyoutline.com. Okay, there might be more in the programme, but that'll have to wait until the next interval between Act 2 and 3. For now, stay tuned for the credits, maybe a cheeky outtake, and we'll see you backstage next week. This has been It Feeds on Fire, a studio production from Merely Roleplayers, starring Marta de Silva as Nim Harrow, Narr as Jasper Finch, and Fiona K.T. Howat as Billie Fletcher. I'm Matt Boothman, and I play the supporting cast. The theme music is by me, and I edited and produced this episode. We were playing the Silt vs. Role-Playing Game by Gabriel Robinson and Jason Cordova, and published by The Gauntlet. The game is based on the Silt vs. audio drama by John Ware and Muna Hussain. Merely Roleplayers is a Foggy Outline production in association with Blackshaw Theatre Company. Until next time, the show must go on.
You've earned the favor of the god of parallel parking.
Absolutely. Foggy Outline.